And joining us now on the line, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner, all-round fine fella, is Byron York. Byron, good morning.
I have heard Byron York be referred to as the most handsome man in Washington, D.C.
Who said that?
At first hand. Is that not correct, Byron?
I think it was someone with vision problems.
It actually was. That's
Byron, there's just
but
no...
all-around fine fellow is okay.
Yeah, well, and you are that. There's no doubt about it, but there's no accounting for taste. Okay, so, Byron, we wanted to have you on because we got 19 people who went to New Hampshire, Republicans they all want to be the next president of these United States. And so, we're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff here because it doesn't seem like, can you imagine a debate with 19 people on the stage? Well,
are you guys on the Bob Ehrlich bandwagon yet?
No, we're not. So tell me.
It's going to look like Hollywood Squares. They need like 3 levels to
I don't know how you do something.
Listen, this is going to be a real problem, first for the RNC and for Fox News with the first debate in August in Ohio. How many candidates are they actually going to have? If you look at the Real Clear Politics average of polls, let's put away this 19 number, but if you look at the Real Clear Politics average of polls, they're measuring a dozen candidates right now.
Right.
And I don't think we've ever had more than 9 on stage before, and that seemed really weird, and nobody got to talk much. So, you do have this incredible contrast now with this maybe literal embarrassment of riches on the Republican side and the crickets on the Democratic side, where you have basically just one candidate who's defending and nursing a 60-point lead. So, on the other hand, with New Hampshire, over the weekend, we did see a number of candidates do really well.
Who do you like? Who impressed? Let's put it that way.
Well, I thought Marco Rubio is clearly having a moment. He got real good reviews coming out of his rollout, which is a week ago Monday, and he kept that going. So he does quite well. Scott Walker did quite well again in New Hampshire. I think that he's kind of gotten his feet back under him. He got a little wobbly after he just kind of got on a rocket ship. In late January in Iowa. He really impressed a lot of people there. I think he kind of rose faster in the race and got more scrutiny than he thought he was going to have at this time, but now he's kind of getting used to that. So Scott Walker did well. Rand Paul impressed people there. So did Ted Cruz. My guess is if you took a poll of most of these gatherings, who was the best speaker, Cruz almost always wins. Jeb Bush did quite well in this kind of solid one foot in front of the other way. So I could go on. A lot of candidates did quite well. The audience really liked Lindsey Graham. Nobody gives him a chance or anything, but he was funny and he's very passionate about his issue of national security. So there were really a lot of people there who I think if you asked the audience members coming out, they would have been very impressed by.
Byron York, every time we raise this issue about all of the candidates in the field, we just talked yesterday about who should be weeded out. And whenever we talk about the field, the passionate response against Jeb Bush, not just here on WMAL or at least on Mornings on the Mall, but on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. Whenever I raise this issue, amongst grassroots conservatives, there is a passionate rejection of Jeb Bush. But I'm hearing that is not at all what's being reflected on the ground in Iowa or New Hampshire. How do you make up for that discrepancy?
That is so interesting. There was a woman who stood up in the Q&A who said to Jeb Bush, you're not a rhino, are you? And I don't want a coronation. I don't want you to just be sort of crowned the nominee. And he said, wait a minute, I don't see any coronation taking place. And really it is a very competitive race, even though Bush is leading in some polls. I think part of it stems from there was a lot of coverage of Bush early raising so much money. As a matter of fact, raising so much money, there was a report he even asked donors not to give more than $1 billion right now.
Jeez.
And so that's populist optics, Bush style, I guess. Mm-hmm. But there was this feeling that the establishment had sort of picked Bush, and they had all the money, and everybody else might as well just give up right now.
Yeah.
I think that discouraged a lot of voters. They do have serious dynastic concerns about another Bush in the White House. and they just don't want to see the big money men decide this. But I think if you looked at this, at the cattle call they had in New Hampshire, you got a lot of candidates. They can raise money to be competitive. They're very competitive on the stump with Bush.
But Byron, you made your point in your article on the evening of the 19th here, where Mitt Romney, when he ran, unfortunately he wasn't able to attack Obama on Obamacare because of Romney Care. And now one of the great arguments against Hillary Clinton is, really, another Clinton? Do we want to have that? But if Jeb Bush is the nominee, he sort of loses that argument because he's another Bush.
Yeah, I know. And there's a certain Bush self-consciousness in every Jeb appearance. If you watched New Hampshire, he starts it out by saying, "Yeah, I'm Jeb Bush. Many of you know me as George H.W.'s son and W.'s brother and Barbara's son, and I'm really, really lucky. I realized I hit the lottery to be a Bush." And I'm thinking, why are you doing this? Why are you saying you're so Bushy right at the very top? People know that, and they're processing whether they want to have another Bush. The other thing is if you do have Bush versus Clinton, you have two old names. It's kind of like the Bush legacy versus the Clinton legacy, and I think in most voters' minds, the Clinton legacy is going to win. The most recent Bush having presided over a couple of wars and an economic disaster.
I actually believe that if it was Clinton versus Bush in the final election, that there would really be an opening for a third-party candidate for all the people who just don't want to vote for either Clinton or Bush because, we know those names. We're tired of them.
Well, there are people who say, look, our political system has come to this.
Yep.
And remember, the best line, in my view, of this race so far has come from Martin O'Malley, the Democratic would-be candidate a few weeks ago, who said the presidency of the United States is not a crown to be passed between two families.
Yes.
So the voters are processing this right now. We haven't seen anybody vote, and we'll see how they react to Jeb Bush. But it's a serious concern.
Yeah.
And we may not know until Election Day what people decide about it.
Very quickly, we just have a few seconds left. I want to ask you: is this Clinton cash thing? Is it going to catch fire? Is it going to hurt Hillary? I mean, as you say, she's nursing a 60-point lead right now.
Well, it depends on the facts of the case. I mean, we don't know actually the facts of the case, but we do know that as far as the Peter Schweitzer book is concerned, that a lot of mainstream media, Fox News and the New York Times, are interested in building on the reporting that is in this book. And it is also the kind of stuff that is money that interests mainstream reporters. There may be some reporters who would roll their eyes at some more talk about Benghazi, although there's serious issues left with that.
Yeah.
They would roll their eyes at talk about Benghazi, but they really can get outraged at money and politics. And so I think it will get some traction.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. All-round fine fellow and apparently very handsome man.
And you know what? I hate lobbing a little line out there and not explaining it. I don't want to leave a mystery out there. It was actually the great local Washington, D.C. news analyst Ellen Ratner who said that Byron York is, in fact, in her opinion, the most handsome man in D.C.
One has to consider the source.
And Ellen is blind in one eye.
And the green room in Fox, where Larry witnessed this, obviously things don't stay in the green room.
Yeah. Sorry, Byron.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy it, guys.
He just threw you under the bus with that one. All right.
Well, please, calling him the most handsome man in D.C. is throwing him under the bus. Please, I wish I could be thrown under that bus.